It's Jonathan Gavoni here of Draft Express. We're here with John Hammond, the GM of the Milwaukee Bucks. How are you tonight?
Doing good, Jonathan. You know, would probably rather not be here, but we're here, so we're going to hopefully make the best of it.
What does this represent for an NBA franchise or the NBA draft lottery?
Well, you know what? It probably represents a group of people that would rather not be here, as I said, because it means that we have some holes to fill, some needs within our organization, and you know, you'd much rather be playing than sitting here tonight. But it means we have work to do, and this is a part of the process.
Right. How much work do you guys have in the next 7 weeks in terms of getting ready for this draft?
Well, you know, what we've been doing for the last few weeks is we've been working daily, watching different players, DVDs of players, trying to evaluate players with the thought of us being at 10. If that would change, we'd happen to move up, we'd be thrilled with that. If we move down a slot or two, we'll work through that. But our work as of recent has been at the 10th slot.
Right. Do you agree with the notion that this is a weak draft?
No, I don't. You know, I never agree with that. And you know what, Jonathan, I don't have the vision to predict such things. Some people do that, and you know, I think that most any draft, you know, you can look, and there's going to be a certain percentage of every draft that players turn out to be significant players within this league. I think this draft is going to be no different. I think this is a good draft.
How much does the free agents you have on your own roster, how much will that affect the player you draft on June 25th?
It could have some effect. You know, we do have a couple restricted free agents that we're dealing with, so we could be looking at maybe filling a need. But I think at the end of the day, we sat here today at 10 once again, saying that more than likely we look at the best player on the board.
Do you expect there to be a lot of movement in terms of teams trying to move up or down in the draft, leading up to the draft, and maybe on draft night?
Well, it's interesting, you know, when I think I've even heard some teams say, well, maybe this draft isn't as strong as they would like. Well, we'll see. You know, if a team is looking to get to 5, they must like it a little more than maybe they really admitted to.
Right.
So if that kind of movement occurs, I think that means it is a good draft.
Right. You guys made a trade last night on draft day. Possibility that something happens like that again this year?
Well, you know, I think we're a team that obviously, once again, we sit here today, we have a lot of holes that need to be filled. We're a team that won 34 games. You know, we hope to improve from within first and foremost, and that means for Michael Redd to get healthy and Andrew Bogut to get healthy. But even with that, we'd still like to improve our team in any way possible, and if that means through a trade, and maybe that if that involves a draft pick, we're open to any scenario that would make us better.
Do you agree with the notion that there is a very strong draft for point guards?
Well, I think you can look at that and say that, you know, there's potentially maybe, I don't know, you could say maybe as many as 5 point guards that could go top 10, top 15. So you would say that's heavily laid at the point guard spot.
So are you guys going to be looking at a specific position, or are you just going to try to take the best player available?
Well, as I said, I think more than likely, I think, you know, probably this early, you probably still look at the draft and say, we'll look at the best player on the board. You know, as you go through the workouts and go through the entire process, go through the interview process, you might narrow it down and say, you know what, we like this group in a point guard. Let's look at a point guard, let's look at a power forward, let's look at a wingman, whatever it might be. But right now, I think it's the best player on the board for us, but that could change.
How important is it to match your draft pick with the identity of your coach, Scott Skiles? I know he's really into tough guys, defensive-minded guys. How much of a factor does that play in the evaluation process?
Well, I think that it should be a part of the process. I think at the end of the day, though, I think Scott would be the first one to say, you know, never draft a player because I want him or because he's the coach. I think it's going to be a group decision. I want Scott involved in the process. He needs to be involved in the process, and he's a proven coach that has won, and it's a player that should fit into our system. And that system means playing with the players that we have already in the organization and playing for a coach like Scott.
John, you've been very gracious with your time. Thank you so much, and best of luck tonight, okay?
Jonathan, thank you so much. Hope we can get a little good luck tonight. Thank you.
Thanks.